Good morning. And welcome. I will see. There we go. Can you see me now? Yes. Good morning. Just want to welcome everyone into the room. Just take a moment just to breathe deeply. Taking 3 deep breaths. We allow ourselves to center into the space. This morning's reading is taken from 365, Science of Mind, A Year of Daily Wisdom from Ernest Holmes. Today's reading is specifically taken from November 22nd, and it is entitled Joy. Sorrow is turned into joy before him. Thou hast put gladness in my heart. Thou hast turned me from my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness. This is taken partially from the book of Job, chapter 41, verse 22, and from the book of Psalms, chapter 4 through 7, verses 30 through and 11. We cannot conceive of the spirit as being sad or depressed. There is ever a song at the center of everything. This song is reflected in all nature, turning mourning into dancing. To put off sackcloth means the turning of the personality to a complete reliance upon the divine. To be girded with gladness means to cover ourselves with the threefold nature of God. This is a symbol of divine protection. Turning the mind to God and recognizing the omnipresence of love causes us to rejoice, as we recognize that in pure spirit we live, move, and have our being. Today, I deliberately turn from everything that depresses and sing a song of praise, of gratitude, and of joy. I am going forth to meet joy, singing the song of the triumph of spirit over all apparent negation. We are to rejoice evermore. There is no sadness in the spirit. It is happy and free, for it knows neither depression nor confusion, and we belong to it, are in and of it. Signs of Mind, page 496. So as we go into the silence, I invite you to contemplate the very knowingness that you are having your beingness, living and moving in the power and the presence of the divine. That there is actually no place where you can be that God is not. And as you lean into this awareness, I invite you to reflect upon the idea that you turn deliberately away from everything that depresses and turn yourself with intention actively to a song of praise. And as you contemplate this, I invite you to listen as if you have never meditated before. I invite you to sit in the silence and experience it as if this is the very first time that you've ever sat and listened. Be still and know. If your attention has wandered, it's okay. Simply breathe deeply and focus on the breath. Just a few more moments in the sweet silence. As we gently begin to bring our attention back to the space, to the place where we are sitting, to this sacred space called Centers for Spiritual Living in Greater Baltimore. We gently bring our attention back. We are reminded that we are living, moving, and having our beingness in the divine. That the call to joy requires deliberate attention and deliberate action, requiring us to turn with intention away from sorrow and pain, and with absolute intention to be aware always of the song that is at the center of everything. So we give thanks for this. We give thanks for this sacred time together, the delicious silence. We know that the service that will begin shortly is the best service ever. And we are grateful as we are able to maintain the gentle, sweet stillness within ourselves as we prepare for service. Blessing this time. I simply release into the law, leaning fully our hands into the divine, knowing that all is good and all is well, and so it is. Amen.
What was the word for today?
Motivate.
Motivate.
Motivate. Excellent. I'm going to record this. I'll be right back. Motivate. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. You awake now? After the meditation and the pre-service meditation and the pre-service music, you was down and relaxed and whoo, now it's time for me to wake you up. Woo! Wake you up. All right, that's enough. Because Reverend Ray about to fall out the chair. All right. Y'all know, those of you who have children or nieces or young folks who you've ever been around, when you're doing absolutely nothing and they don't bother you, and then the moment you start doing something, get on the phone or start talking to someone, then all of a sudden they got all those kind of questions. Well, something similar to that happens on Sundays with Reverend Ray. He likes to make noise at the wrong times, and I give him a look. Like, really? Anyway, let's move on with service. So, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore's virtual service. I am Tracy Rhymes, your host. Our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, is our speaker for today. Our musician, who you just got a taste of, is Robert Hitz. Serving as practitioner who led the pre-service meditation is Diane Stewart Hamlin. Our sign language interpreters assisting with making this service open, inviting, and accessible to the deaf community are Rainica Permaletta and Sonia Chavis. Working behind the scenes, holding things down, is Frank. To all of you, thank you for your service. Even you, Reverend Dr. Ray, thank you for serving today. Our opening prayer will be led by Diane Stewart Hamlin. And before Diane grounds us in prayer, let me share some things about her. Diane M. Stewart Hamlin, ALSP, RSCP, is a motivational speaker, author, licensed spiritual counselor, and life strategist. Diane has dedicated her life to teaching others to live holy and fully. Diane has a breadth of experiences and training that enhances the way that she works with individuals and groups. Diane holds a Juris Doctor and Master of Business Administration degree. As a spiritual counselor, Diane is licensed by Agape International Spiritual Center and Centers for Spiritual Living. She is currently a ministerial student at the Michael Bernard Beckwith School of Ministry at Agape University. With more than 15 years of experience working in the human potential movement, Diane supports individuals and organizations to create breakthroughs and paradigm shifts to become grounded in principles that afford them the ability to accomplish their greater yet to be. Diane offers a wide range of tools and skills that help you to tap into your greatness and live life fully. Thank you, Diane.
Wow, Tracy, that's the best reading ever. I am so grateful to be here, so grateful to be with the beloved community, to stand in this space and hold the awareness that the power and presence of God is everywhere. So grateful I am to be reminded that there really is only one power, one presence. The power and presence, it's what we call God, God Almighty, all beauty, all power. It is omni, meaning it is everywhere, no place where it is not. It is the power that keeps the waves crashing to the shore. It keeps every planet right where it's supposed to be, the earth rotating on its axis. It sources every bird in the sky, every blade of grass. It is the source of the breath that breathes us, that allows us to breathe. I am grateful to know that this power, that this presence is right where we are, each one of us, as this beloved community, Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore. Right there, God is. No spot, no aspect of this entire experience is happening outside of the power and presence of God. So we are giving thanks for this time together as we call and name this time good and very good. We know this service is magnificent because our beloved Raymont, Reverend Raymont, is standing in the power and presence of God, and more importantly, standing in the power and presence of the sacred, yes, to be a beloved conduit, to be an opening through which divine teachings can pour forth and pour into others, allowing others to tap into their greatness and expanding into their greater yet to be. So we bless him. We bless the words that come through him, the divine teachings, knowing that they're good and rich and magnificent. And we know that today, this service is the greatest service that Centers for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore has ever experienced. It is the greatest teaching that is coming forth from our beloved teacher, Reverend Raymont. So we are lending our ears, we are giving thanks, and we are inclining and listening from the depths of our souls and our beingness, because each one of us is here for a specific teaching that is coming forth right now. So giving thanks for this, it is with joy and thanksgiving that I release my words into the loving activity of the law itself, knowing that they are already done, already made manifest, and rejoicing for all of us. I simply let it be, and together we say, and so
it is.
Amen.
And so it is. Thank you, Diane. All right, we ready. Ready. Y'all ready, right? Y'all ready. I heard you. Okay. So, the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore's community honors the world's religions. One tree, many branches. One mountain, many paths. One world, many religions and spiritual traditions. With the lighting of these candles on the first Sunday of each month, we not only honor each person on their select path, but we also bless them and recognize the light, the love, and the life-affirming nature of spirit as it shows itself in each path, in each practice, and in each person. I have a few announcements for you. We currently have 2 weekly ongoing ways to study, learn, and discuss. You have your one opportunity on Wednesday nights, the Science of Mind textbook exploration group, which is facilitated by Reverend Dr. Ray. And you have another opportunity on Thursday nights. The study group is facilitated by Dr. Ronnie Ellington. It's a friendly reminder there's still time that the 2021 spiritual journals are in. You can get your copy today by going to shop.csl.org. Membership! If you are interested in becoming a member of CSL Greater Baltimore or renewing your current membership at CSL Greater Baltimore, the Discovery class is available online. Contact us at info at cslgreaterbaltimore.org for more information. Sign up for the CSLGB newsletter, where you get all that good information, stuff that we don't discuss on Sundays, or maybe not announce on Sundays, let me say it that way. You do that at www.cslgreaterbaltimore.org for more information. Come on and subscribe to the CSLGB's YouTube page and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Get all that good stuff. You visit www.cslgreaterbaltimore and the CSLGB Facebook page to get more news and information. All right. For those of you who joined us for the first time, on the count of 3, we say prayer works. And for those of you who know what we do, on 3, prayer works. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Prayer works. That's right. That's right. Y'all doing good. Woo, woo. All right. We, as a community, continue to treat and move our feet, knowing the truth for everyone around the planet. Practitioners are available after today's service for one-on-one prayer, and prayer requests can be sent at any time. That's at any time to info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. All right, them practitioners, they ready for you. All right, so our guest musician is Robert Hitz. If you were online after meditation, you heard some of his awesomeness. Classically trained, Robert's music touches the soul and creates the broad spectrum of emotions which fill our hearts with joy, love, and life. It takes one to a deeper understanding of our relationship to the magnificent creative source behind all creation. That's just a snippet, a small snippet of Robert's bio. Visit his website, ROBERTHITZ.com, to learn about the amazing things he has done and is doing. I give you Robert Hitz.
Thank you so much, Tracy and Diane, for the wonderful treatment for us to begin this day. And I like to improvise to join the music of the community and to channel that for everyone. And let's see. Diane, well, I don't know if it's possible for Diane to unmute and to give me a word for this first piece.
Intention.
Intention. Great. Can you give me 3 numbers between 1 and 8? Diane.
3, 5, 7.
3, 5, and 7. Right back. 3, 5, and 7. Intention. 3, 5, 7.
Thank you, Robert. That was beautiful. Okay. So now, Diane will lead us in a spiritual practice.
Well, good morning, and welcome to those who've just joined us. Today I'm reading, before I picked this reading, I looked at Reverend Raymont's topic, and then I sat in silence to be guided to what reading. And I remembered this little old book that I have on my shelf. It's called Words That Heal Today by Ernest Holmes. And so I went and picked it up and opened it, and it just landed on chapter 10. So my reading today is coming from that book. I will type it in the comments after I read so that anyone who wants to get the book, I'm not even sure if it's still in print or not, but the reading is it's from chapter 10, it's called The Great Example. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to ask us just to be still and just breathe and allow the words to wash over us as I'm reading them. Just let them wash over you. The practice that we are doing today is called sacred listening. So what I want you to do is to put your feet on the ground flat, get comfortable where you are, and really allow yourself to hear the words and to let them wash over you as you gently breathe. Notice any sensations, but don't attach to them. Notice how you may or may not respond to the words or react to them. Just notice. This is your time for sacred listening. The chapter 10, it's called The Great Example. Verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but the Father loveth the Son, and hath given him authority, and showeth him all things that himself doeth, and as the Father raiseth up the dead and quickeneth them, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. In these sentences, Jesus announces one of the greatest of all spiritual truths. The living Spirit is incarnated in every man's soul. The entire nature of the divine being is bequeathed to us. There is a law of spiritual authority which is at our command. Let me read that again. The living Spirit is incarnated in every man's soul. The entire nature of the divine being is bequeathed to us. There is a law of spiritual authority which is at our command. Yet the Supreme Master was careful to say that we are not God, even though we are of like nature with God. The Son can do nothing for himself while he remains separated from the source of his being. But when he turns his whole thought and attention to the divine, the life of God pouring being endowed with creativeness. Thus, what the Son sees the Father do, the Son does also. Nor did Jesus place any limit upon our use of divine power. Rather, he said, in essence, watch what I do. Understand the words that I speak. Enter into conscious union with the Spirit, and you will do greater things than I have done. It is too much to believe. Is it too much to believe that even war, pestilence and famine, poverty, unhappiness, and dis-ease, might pass from the face of the earth if there were enough people who actually believed in and understood the teaching of Jesus and followed it. So I invite you just to be still for a moment and allow that to wash over you. You will do greater things than I have done. When he turns his whole thought and attention to the divine, the life of God pouring through his being endows him with creativeness. I invite you to continue with sacred listening as you lend your ear to all that is pouring forth through Reverend Raymont on this day, knowing that you are here on purpose with the purpose that every single thing that you are meant to hear is happening and being spoken to you through and as Reverend Raymont. And that what you are here, your divine purpose is unfolding itself right now. Giving thanks for this time together, this sacred time to be still and know, to listen as we have listened for the first time. I am grateful and thankful to stand here now holding sacred space as each one of us continues to be ministered to deep within the very soul of our beings. Allowing this time to happen in grace and ease, we give thanks, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Diane. All righty. Are you ready? I don't believe that. Are you really, really ready? That's a little bit more convincing.
Frank said, bring it.
Whoa!
Diane said, bring it.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. Yes! Senior Minister for the Center of Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore is about to come and bring it. Yes! Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man. One look at his resume and the reason becomes clear. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and self-awakening, he lives his bliss as a teacher, mentor, speaker, minister, and so much more. His mission is to live, move, and be an active, which is an acronym, authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. What an acronym. Member of society who serves to what? Educate, elucidate, emancipate, awaken, and empower people and communities. Yo, Revy Rev, I gotta say it for Minister Mo. Revy Rev, come do what you do. Come drop that science and bring it.
Let us simply pray for Tracy at this moment.
Whoa, pray for her.
Wow. There are moments, and then there are moments. Wow. Hold on. Wow. Woo. Okay. Wow. So, based upon today's pre-service meditation, our invocation, our in-service spiritual practice, and our music, I feel like I could go sit down and we'd be done today. Like, we've already been fed today, but I know that Robin and Minister Mo and a couple other folks, Rainica, will be upset with me, so I'm going to add on to what has already been laid as the foundation for this elevated consciousness of today. So we're still talking about this month being a compassionate conduit, and today specifically, however, the title, God is not motivated if you aren't. Now, hear that again, read that again, receive that again. Diane said we're engaging in the sacred art of listening. And what do we do when we listen? We receive. You're receiving, whether you're receiving it through your eyes, you're receiving it through your skin, you're receiving it through your ears, however you're receiving that energy. God is not motivated if you aren't. Man's thought is the activity of mind. For mind without thought or directed consciousness would have no real existence. There can be no existence apart from consciousness. Or, if there be any existence apart from consciousness, then there is no one, no thing, and no intelligence to be aware of such existence. It is evident that without self-awareness, there is not only no realization of life, but no life to be realized. So I invite you to sometime later this week, just bring this up again and marinate on this idea. So let us dive even deeper. William Shakespeare, in the amazing play called Hamlet, said, "There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so." So let us be aware that there are often times where we will label things. We will identify something as good or bad. And oftentimes what we are referring to as good or bad is based upon a judgment rather than the state of what that thing actually is. For example, I may say Tracy looks bad in the color green. Is that a fact, or is that my assessment and it is my thinking that makes it so for me? It's not making it so for her. It's what is making it a realized experience for me. So the idea is, where am I allowing my thinking to separate? Why am I allowing my thinking to separate? Well, one way or one reason we are allowing it to separate is because we still have a consciousness oftentimes related to a paradigm of a belief system in and of two gods, one good and one bad. Woo! One God is there to support you, and the other one is there to do whatever that other one does, to break stuff up and mess up the good one or whatever. Now, the main reason, and we don't specifically, reference this idea in our philosophy, but what we do is we will reference this idea of a cosmic 2x4. And we will say things like, well, Spirit must want me to apply for this other job. Spirit must want me to tell this person we can no longer date. Spirit must want that. As though there is some spirit apart from who and what we are. Like there is a spirit that is saying, what is Tracy doing right now? I don't want you to do that, Tracy. Put that down. Cosmic 2x4. So the cosmic, Tracy's laughing at me right now. So the cosmic 2x4 is this thing that says, do something else. Well, that's anthropomorphism. There's still a separate spirit that is guiding us as though we are being guided by God, being guided, whatever. The universe is testing me. And I understand why we say it, but keep in mind, if the universe is testing you, then there's you and the universe as two separate things, and the universe is testing you. But why would the universe need to test itself as you? Why would Diane mention Yeshua? Why would Yeshua, Jesus, need to be tested by God when he was the incarnation of the divine? Why would the divine need to test itself? There is evolving of consciousness. And in this evolving of consciousness, there is no need to be tested. But the reason we're tested is because we feel that we're being tested. There is neither good nor bad, but our thinking makes it so. There is neither being tested nor, but it is our thinking that we're being tested that is making us be tested. Source keeps whacking me with that cosmic 2x4, and one of these days I'm going to get it right. So let's agree today that we are no longer going to buy into this idea of the cosmic 2x4 or this anthropomorphic idea that there is some God, deity, spirit, force, source, universe outside of ourselves that is playing a game of cosmic chess, moving us around a chessboard, and when we are not doing what it wants us to do, it punishes us. Getting hit in the head with a cosmic 2x4, it didn't say God hit me with a feather. God tickled me. The universe tickled me and made me, we said, hit with. I've been hit with a 2x4 before. It is not a pleasant experience to be struck. That's punishment. So, let's agree to let that idea go. Let's let go of this anthropomorphic theology or ideology and recognize that in the grand scheme of what spirit is, what God is neutral. Now let us, because I hear you. Keep in mind that neutral does not mean that God is inactive. It does not mean uninvested, and it does not mean void of energy. In the same way that you have an electron, which is a negatively charged particle, you have a proton, which is a positively charged, and you have a neutron, which is neutral. But the neutron is not inactive, it's not uninvested, and it's not void of an energy power. So let's keep in mind, we're not saying that God is not any of this. Keep that in mind. Neutral is an actively balanced state of active, creative activity. Keep that in mind. So when we say that God is not invested, God does not care if Ray gets a job as a garbage man, as a janitor, as president of the United States, as the senior minister of CSL Greater Baltimore, as a milkman, etc. God does not care about that. As long as this individualized form is doing what it is doing, expanding consciousness, then that which is God, what did Diane say? The entirety of is bequeathed to us. So if I'm a milkman, it's still bequeathed to me. If I'm a president of the United States, it's still bequeathed to me if I am receptive of it. Diane, she didn't say it today, but I know because I've heard her say it a couple of times, referencing when you go to Source, imagining Source to be the great expanse of all water. Do you go with a thimble? Do you go with a bucket? Do you go with a tub? Or do you go and dive on into the expanse of the ocean and be immersed in it and wet by it? Like, how much are you willing to allow the bequeathness? I don't know if that's a word. It's a word today. Do you let the bequeathness, I'd love to see Brainica interpret that. Do you let the bequeathness, the fullness of it, move through you and in you and as you? Spirit, God, is an actively balanced state of active, creative activity. The creative impulse of creation is always in, through, and as who and what we are. How many times have you heard me say a battery, well, let's pause. A battery is not invested. A battery says, I'm going to work in a Walkman. I don't even know if they still exist, but I'm going to work in it.
No.
I'm going to work in a watch. I'm going to work in a laptop. I'm going to work in a telephone. A battery simply works. It is there to do what it does. It involves both the positive and negative charge. It is a balanced charge of power. The yin and yang is creative activity, always circling, cycling, and moving. So once again, the idea is, how engaged are we in this? Or, to quote today's title, how motivated are we to allow this gift, this divine inheritance that we've been bequeathed? That's that's my word for today. Bequeath. It's just because I like the way that word sounds. But as soon as Diane said that word, I was like, oh, I love that word, bequeath. I hereby bequeath unto, Anyhow, so today, God is not motivated. Tracy's laughing at me right now. She always laughing at me. She's motivated to laugh at me. God is not motivated if you aren't motivated. But do we know what it means to have motivation? To motivate, or what is our motive? Motivation. I'm only going with the yellow. Inducement to action. Inner or social stimulus for an action. Motivate. To stimulate toward action. Act as the inciting cause of. Motive. There's a lot of this one.
There's a lot.
Motive. Literally moving. Moving. Impelling. A moving motion. To move. You get a lot of move in here. That which inwardly moves a person to behave a certain way. Mental state or force which induces an action of volition. We know volition is movement. Having control of motion, causing motion, having power to move someone or something, moving, impelling, and to move. Move. So God is not moving if we aren't moving. Ooh.
Ooh.
God is not going to move if we are not in movement. Now, yes, what we are referring to is how God, how Spirit, how the inhabiting force of all that we are, God in us, as us, is us. How is it living, moving, and having its beingness in this experience, in this incarnating form? Because if I'm not motivated to get my beep off the couch and do anything, trust and believe. Diane already said it. The power that is it has every planet exactly where it needs to be. Every blade of grass, every grain of sand, every ocean wave, every bird, every duck, every apple, all of it. It is moving, whether I move or not. We are talking about how am I allowing the creative process to move in, through, and as me. How am I allowing Spirit, God, the universe, the one mind, to be an active and conscious presence, presenting itself in my thoughts, in my words, in my feelings, and in my actions? Because the planets are going to still do what the planets do. The orbit is still going to do what it does, whether I sit and suck my thumb or twiddle my thumbs or navel gaze. So what we're talking about is, how are we engaging? How are we choosing to move and be moved? Ernest Holmes says, the science of mind, the responsibility of setting the law into motion is ours. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Toe stomper.
It's ours. Would you say?
Toe stomper.
Toe stomper. We should sense that back of the word which we speak is the power of the universe. So remember when Diane mentioned this authority, and God, the Father, gave the Son, gave Yeshua the authority. We must speak with that same power, the same authority of the universe, surging to express itself. See, if we're not going to speak as one having authority, I mean, think about this for a second. Several of you are parents, or you have some young folks in your life. It could be a younger brother, sister, somebody. And you know that when you have that moment where sometimes words don't even need to be said, you just give a look. Mm-hmm. And that look, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But we know if you don't give that look with authority, then whoever that young person is, that son, daughter, child, that person is going to look at you like, what? Psh, it's my thumb. But there's no authority. But if you have authority, then that look is all you need, because that look carries the words of, I dare you to touch your phone. Mm-hmm. No words were even spoken, but the look is, do it, I dare you. And they're like, I wasn't going to touch my phone. No, that's fine. I'm just making sure. No, I wasn't. Right? How do we approach life with the same authority? When we go to our bank account, do we go to our bank account with the authority that says, I know that my cup runneth over to such a degree that the expanse, I don't even think about the cup, because I'm thinking about the expansiveness of the infinite influx, the infinite inflow, the divine flow of all that Spirit is, as I sign this check, as I click send on Venmo. Do we approach our health when we go to the doctor or a dentist? Do we approach that with authority, declaring, I know that I am healthy, whole, and complete, no matter what the numbers on blood pressure say? That is simply the experience of today. No matter what the scale says, that's the experience and the number of today. I am declaring, because I know that I have divine authority to speak a thing that is not as though it were and make it so. Do I speak with authority? Do I think with authority? Do I feel the authority? And do I move and have my beingness with that same authority? Because if we don't, then we're creating from a place of inauthority. We're creating and living from a place of subservience. And what are we going to serve? If we're unmotivated and we are simply twiddling our thumbs and navel gazing, then we are subservient to the mass consciousness. We are subservient to the dominant vibration of the mass, the collective. And we know that that consciousness is anthropomorphism, separation, othering, xenophobia, racism, sexism, etc. So if we are not going to stand in the authority and speak from it and move from it, then we are now subservient to this other consciousness. Keep that in mind. What am I motivated to be, do, have, and experience? Great question. What am I motivated to be, do, have, and experience physically, intellectually, spiritually, financially, etc.? What am I motivated to be individually? What am I motivated to do individually? What am I motivated to have relationally? What am I motivated to be socially, to have socially, to be collectively? What am I motivated to be, do, and have in this variety of areas? And once I have that, then the question is, well, who and what do I need to become in order to demonstrate it? It's not just about identifying it, it's about becoming it. If you are going to have the divine authority to heal, then be a healer. If you are going to have or be someone who lives, moves, and has their beingness as a teacher, then be a teacher. Don't downplay.
Well, yeah, I've taught a couple of classes, and but I'm not really a teacher, or I'm not really a minister, or I'm not really I'm just a.
Why? If you are going to teach, then teach. What did Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. say? If you are going to sweep streets, then sweep streets to the degree of mastery and majesty that Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. Name it, claim it, and be it. Have the authority to be, do, and have in your experience whatever it is you are claiming, because once again, if you are not motivated, if I am not motivated, then that which is the divine impulse of creation cannot move, cannot be. It is not going to force and say, darn it, Ray, I want you to be, and you're saying no. Okay, this ain't the story of Jonah. There is no God that's going to be like, yo, Ray, oh, you don't, oh, that's what we playing today? Ha, hey, yo, he think he going to get away from me. Swallowed by a fish. It's not that anthropomorphic God. It's not that concept. God is being, doing, and having, experiencing, moving as my mind moves. The one mind, as my emotions move, as my words move, as my hands and my feet treat and move accordingly. So the question is, are we willing to just do it? Are we willing to step out there and be what we are motivated to be? So as you know, anyone who knows me, I love watching films and television and plays and all kind of things and finding some metaphysical nuggets in there. So...
No, really?
Yes. So since my oldest son and daughter-in-law turned me on to this idea of Lovecraft Country, I felt like mentioning this idea because in Lovecraft Country, they refer to magic. And the interesting thing is, what they're referring to as magic, in many ways, I identify as a spiritual mind treatment. How so, you ask? Let me share and let me tell you. Magic requires intention, which is your desired aim. Magic requires energy, which is the emotional investment. Magic requires the incantation, the words. Remember a couple slides back, I mentioned where Holmes said the words, having the authority in the words. So, what words am I speaking that demonstrate the authority and the power that I am choosing to manifest? Magic is simply manifestation. It is answered prayer. And magic requires a body. It requires action. It requires someone to move through. So is that not what we do when we treat? We set the intention. We know that this that I am praying already is in the mind of God. Therefore, it is already answered prayer. So what I am saying is that though this person may be experiencing X, Y, and Z, what I know is that in the divine realm of infinite love, source, and spirit, there can only be wholeness, perfection, completeness, love, joy, and magnificence. I add the energy, the authority, the knowingness, and the confidence, and the love, and the joy, and the gratitude to these words that I speak in prayer, that are words declaring what I am intending to demonstrate. And then I release it, and I act accordingly. I treat and move my feet. Ooh. Are we willing to create magic in our everyday lives? Are we willing to set the intentions, to put the energy, to speak the words, and then to live accordingly? Ernest Holmes also says, since the law is mental, one must believe in it in order to... You hear that? Since the law is mental, one must believe in it in order to have it work affirmatively for them, but it is always working according to the person's belief, whether they are conscious of this truth or not. Remember what I said before? If we are not speaking from authority, then we are subservient. The law is always working. It is either working according to my divine authority or my subservience, my relinquishing of my authority. The law is always working, though. Demonstration takes place through the field of the one universal mind. We set the power in motion. The law produces the effect. We set the power in motion. We set the power by our motive, and how we are motivated, it moves accordingly. And the law produces the effect. We plant the seed. The law produces the plant. We plant the intention. The law answers the prayer, produces the demonstration of the answered prayer. So, got motivation? How motivated to engage in my spiritual practices am I at present? Well, let's ask. If my spiritual practice or practices were likened unto a tree, what would my tree look like? Would my tree be ripe with lush greenness and fruit and all sorts of wondrousness and shade? Or would my tree be like, can I get some water, please? Tracy's laughing at me again. But seriously, would our tree be like, dude, it's a little parched? Or would our tree be like, oh, I'm green. Oh, I'm green. I'm green and I'm full of fruit today. Like, what would our tree look like? Are our spiritual practices reaping what we want them to reap? If they are not, then are we not encouraged to upgrade our spiritual practices? If I am not finding that meditation is doing what I want my meditation to do, then does it not behoove me, benefit me to reassess what's going on with my meditation? Am I meditating in some manner that is counterproductive? Am I praying in some way that is counterproductive? Remember, there's a scripture that says, you have not because you pray amiss. You don't have what you are desiring because your intention, your motivation, you're moving in the opposite direction. That's why you don't have it. You're not going to get to the supermarket if you're walking around Lowe's looking for eggs, bread, and cheese. It doesn't work that way. And trust and believe, if you find eggs, bread, cheese in Lowe's, don't eat it. Don't eat it. Because don't eat it. Somebody planted it. It's the wrong place. Socrates said, to move the world, we must first move ourselves. We must embody the power, the presence, the authority. If we want to move the world, if we want to heal the world, we must first heal ourselves. Physician, heal thyself. If we want to awaken the world to its own divine spiritual magnificence, we must first awaken ourselves. If we want to feed the world, we have to feed ourselves. What we become is what we give. How are we stepping into that? In order to move the world, we must first move ourselves. This week's application and practice. Identify 3 things that I want to change, but feel unmotivated to change. What can I do to get the needed support that I may change it? If I don't feel motivated to change it, then chances are I'm not going to change it. But I say I want to change it. So on some level, do I really want to change it?
Good question.
And if I do, then am I willing to do what I need to do to get this support? Do I get a practitioner? Do I get a life coach? What do I do to get the support? Do I get a therapist? Do I join a 12-step program? What do I do to get the needed support to change what I want to change if I am truly willing to become motivated? Identify 3 things that I am, in fact, motivated to change. And then what are the actions that I can take this week to change them? This week, identify at least 2 people and have a conversation about what it means for you to treat and move your feet. What does it mean for you? What does it look like for you to be motivated? What does that look like for you? What motivates you? And what are your motives for doing what you do? Have a conversation about that. Just compare, just listen. Like Diane said, active listening. Compassionate, active, and engaged listening as someone shares, treat and move my feet means this to me. This is what motivates me. This is what it looks like to be motivated. This is how I can tell when someone is actually motivated to do what they say they're going to do. This is what inspires me. Like, just have a heart-to-heart conversation about it. And this week's declaration, affirmation, I'll read it first and then we will read it together. As I change my thoughts and beliefs, the world around me changes. My mind is the mind of God itself. Together. As I change my thoughts and beliefs, the world around me changes. My mind is the mind of God itself. And we breathe. We breathe and anchor as we prepare once again to listen with our eyes, to listen with our skin, to listen with our hearts, to listen with our full beingness as our beloved brother Robert Hitz comes back to grace us, to gift us with another wonderfully empowering, inspiring, and spiritually engaging piece of artistry and majesty and magic. Blessings.
Unmute my heart. I am motivated. And wow, what power there, dude. Let's give it up for Raymont. And Raymont, I think you gave me motivation before. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
So, would you like to give me another word, or I'm going to channel everything you just talked about? But I would like 3 numbers between 1 and 8.
The 1 and 8. 5, 1, 2. As always, yes. Wow.
Motivate.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. That was awesome. I forgot to record that one. But, yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you so much. Always, always. So we breathe in all of that amazing, heartfelt motivation through music that Robert just gifted us with. Just simply allowing that to wash over us. So at this time of service, we are reminded that practicing the law of circulation is one way that we support our spiritual center. It supports where we are spiritually fed. It supports not only the spiritual aspect, but it supports the nuts and bolts and the daily workings of, so that we have, rent for the building and lights, etc., and moving towards what we are creating as the new home for CSL Greater Baltimore. So knowing that as we give, we are going to receive. Remember what we said? How do you change the world? By changing ourselves first. So how do we as a center affect the Greater Baltimore area? By doing it within for our own community first. And then as we do it within, then it cannot help but to happen externally. So as a reminder, and if this is your first time, the practitioners of CSL Greater Baltimore have pledged $5,000 on top of their regular monthly tithes, $5,000 by the end of 2020. And to date, it is $4,572.50.
Thank you.
The community matching pledge to date is $1,100.
Thank you.
And let us be reminded that not only was there the practitioners' pledge, not only is the community matching the pledge, but there's an additional someone who said that they will match the community's matching pledge. So once again, as of right now, the community has matched $1,100. That means this person, whoever they are, is going to match $1,100. If we match $2,000, they match $2,000. They will match whatever the community matches up to $5,000. So this is an opportunity for us to have $15,000 moving in through and as the expansion of CSL Greater Baltimore. So let's triple the impact. How do you tithe? How do you offer? How do you donate? You can do so through PayPal, through text to give, and through the postal mail. If you want more information about that, you can go to our website or email any of us. Also know that you can write a memo or a note to divide your offering, your tithe, once again, to say maybe 50% of it goes to the youth ministry and the other 50% goes to the building fund. Like you can determine the emergency care fund or compassionate care fund. You can determine. So, or once again, you can simply trust that the board will use, as excellent stewards, will determine where the money, where the tithe, where the circulation is best and most appropriately used. Our declaration of prosperity. Together as a community, let us declare this. I joyfully, consciously, and gratefully participate in the law of circulation. I trust in the spiritual principle that says, pause for a second. I want to just tweak that. I speak with authority in the principle that says,
I speak in authority
in the go ahead, spiritual principle that says, as I sow into my beloved community, I demonstrate my awareness of standing not only in the flow, but as the flow itself. As I sow of myself, my time, my treasure, my talent, I demonstrate my support and engagement in my community's vision, mission, and purpose. I actively give as a demonstration of manifesting, of reaping the harvest of a world that works for all. Yes,
Yes.
with authority.
With authority.
Allowing all of this greatness to be bequeathed to us, that we now are able to bequeath it to the extended community, to those siblings, brothers, and sisters who may not specifically attend our center, but we know that we are nonetheless showing up and helping them and serving them and teaching them, such as the work we do with Baltimore Station and the work we do with Edmondson Elementary School. Like, there are these and even greater ways that we know that we are here to show up as the divine made manifest, incarnating itself right here, right now, in, through, and as each and every one of us. And we breathe and allow that divine influx of authority to be in our minds, in our words, in our hearts, and in the ways that we serve. So this time of service, Tracy reminds you, make today an awesome day. To which I would like to add, she can sing. To which I would like to add, this Thursday is Thanksgiving.
What?
So I know that right now there is still this experience called the pandemic.
Yeah.
And that many people may be experiencing forms of grief because we can't congregate as families the way we once did, as friends the way we once did for Thanksgiving. But know that the eternality, the very presence, as Diane said, I told you, we could have stopped service with the prayer and the music at the early part, because Diane said all this stuff already. The omnipresence of Spirit itself. So even though we may feel separated from our beloveds, we aren't. Love is always present. So let's simply anchor in. And if we know that we are from our overflow, giving thanks and full of thanksgiving, then let us also hold in consciousness for those who may not be or may not have the experience of being held and loved and fed. And let us anchor in such consciousness that we know that someone, somewhere, wherever anyone is in the world, that someone, somewhere is serving them, helping them, hugging them, supporting them, nurturing them. That there is no man, woman, child, person on the face of this planet that does not and cannot know that they are loved, that they are supported, that there is an infinite universe. And the universe is always for them and never against them. Let's anchor in that and allow that to be the gratitude that we give from. And we breathe. Tracy would also like to remind us that if you would like a practitioner to pray with you after service, type the word prayer in the chat and then remain online, and Tracy will make sure that she puts you in a breakout room. And if there are any other practitioners other than Diane who are on and willing to also, should we have multiple people, if you are also willing to serve as practitioner for 1 Minute Miracles, let Tracy know that as well, just so, Diane doesn't get all 5, all 10, all 50. So Diane's not praying with all 3,629 people, but that we can divide it up, in some form of equalness. Because Diane got stuff she wants to do today too. So let's simply anchor in prayer, knowing that this and so much else, so much greater, so much more is right here and right now. The divine influx as the conduit of compassion, the conduit of authority, the conduit of love, the conduit of giving thanks, the conduit of all that is spiritually magnificent, that is the universe itself, is right now showing up in, through, and as each and every one of us to do a mighty work, to awaken the world to its divine spiritual magnificence, that we recognize and experience a world that works for all. This is so, and so it is. And namaste and blessings, everyone.
And so it is.
Much love.
Namaste and blessings.
Happy Thanksgiving. See you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving and see you soon.